Hi guys, it's Kelly Latavola here, and I am back with another video for WPlus9. Today we are doing an Easter card, and we are doing minimal Copic coloring. I know you would think minimal Copic coloring and Kelly Latavola would not be synonyms, but we can make friends. So I am using the He Is Risen set, the Stamps and Dies, the Autumn Leaves Stamps and Dies, and the Modern Calla Lilies Stamps and Dies. Everybody, all stamps and dies. This is the Nautical Navy cardstock from WPlus9, and it is one of my favorites if I'm actually going to use a colored cardstock, which is rare for me. And then I put a little bit of adhesive on the back because the background, the Lily's background in the He Is Risen set completely covers an A2 size card. So with the Nautical Navy cardstock, I am using the Nautical Navy ink. So it's going to be a tone-on-tone look. It's going to be very subtle. It's much easier to see in real life than on camera. In fact, we are going to talk about some things that the camera can do that is just not nice to your card. And I don't mean the camera that I am filming with. I mean like taking your photos afterward and editing them. So here you can see it very clearly in the background, and because it's a large background stamp, I wanted to stand up to make sure I got good pressure, good coverage. Here I have pulled out the some of the calla lilies and then some of the regular lilies. I'm sure that those lilies have a real name in real life, but I don't know what it is because I have a black thumb and I unfortunately just murder plants that come into my home. So I'm using the Gina K amalgam ink. This is because I'm going to be doing some Copic coloring, and then I am just stamping on WPlus9 white cardstock. Here, the leaf up top is from the Autumn Leaf set. The leaf on the bottom is from the Calla Lily set, and this was the sentiment I was originally going with. There's two sentiments in the He Is Risen set, and this is the one that I wanted to use. But with how big my flower bouquet ended up being, it was too big. So you're going to think that this is a little bit strange because all I'm doing is like outlining the image. I wanted to show you this anyway because it was part of my process, but also in case you want to try this and you want to use this sentiment. So I'm just using a C1 and just outlining it. And then going through, that's all I'm going to be doing to all of these images, is just outlining them. I saw my friend, very talented, wonderful woman, Jana Millen, had done a card and she shared it on, I can't remember if it was Instagram or Facebook. I will link to it, where she did some like critters and then she just outlined them with a Copic marker. And it was the cutest thing. It was just like the cutest thing. So I really wanted to try it. I'm so happy that I did because I think that it's a really simple way to add color to things, especially if you're just learning how to use your alcohol markers, or if it's something that is very overwhelming to you. A lot of times people are overwhelmed by floral images, which I absolutely love. So I want to help all the people color them because they're so pretty. For the larger branch type leaves that I'm coloring here, I just left white in the center, so there would just be a little bit of green where it connected to its stem and then on the tips. But anyway, so hers was totally adorable and it was unlike anything that I had ever even thought to do. So I really wanted to try it and I like the way it came out. Except here's the I don't even know. So I chose more pastel colors because it's an Easter card and Easter's just pastel to me. Okay, that's just the wheelhouse that I live in. And I really love the way they came out, and you can obviously see as I'm coloring here on the video that they're very easy to see. Okay, I didn't pick anything that was like a 0000. I mean, they're all like ones or twos. They're decently saturated colors. I mean, they're not like a 9-9, but you know what I'm saying. We're clearly putting color down that you can see. What happened was once everything was all built and put together, when I photographed my card, because my base was so dark and my flowers were so light, it completely washed out my flowers. Like it looked like I had just stamped white images. It's maybe not that drastic, but you couldn't really see any of the colors. And I was so just miffed by it. because the photos did not come out good. And obviously the like still photos is what you're really going to be looking at. And it was not an accurate representation of what the card looked like. So me and my girlfriends have talked about this before. Like there'll be times where you make a card and you love the card and then you go to photograph it and it photographs like trash. So for me, a lot of times that's if it has embossing on it, if it has foil on it, like any shiny elements, even though I love them so much in real life, are just like the kryptonite to my camera lens because they don't photograph well. And sometimes lighter colors they just don't come out, which is a bummer. On the flip side, you can have a card where you're just like, meh, it doesn't look that great, but like it'll do. And then you photograph it and then all of a sudden it looks amazing. Like that's the best, honestly, that's the best thing ever. When you're like, oh wow, that looks way better on screen. So here I have laid out all of the dies so I can get to doing that, running them through my die cut machine. And there is dies for both the sentiments in the He Is Reason set. And so after I die cut all of them, I started playing around with my just with my arrangement, and I realized that my sentiment was too big. So now I have switched to the smaller sentiment, and so I'm just stamping that out. And because I don't need to do any Copic coloring on top of it, I'm using WPlus9 black ink. And then now you can see here, that's what the card looked like before, and now I'm just rearranging to make it work with the smaller sentiment, which I really did layout-wise like a whole lot better. It was just a whole lot better. One of the little tricks that I like to use when I have a bouquet is this Tombow Mono Multi-Glue. Tombow Mono Multi-Glue is like the most amazing thing ever. So it dries repositionable. So sometimes if I'm arranging, I put a little bit of glue on the back of them, I let them dry, and then I don't have to chase them all over. In this case, what I did was I put it down wet on the large flower, which pretty much touched everything in the background, except for this leaf in the back. And then for that, I'm going to put the glue on the back of the flower, which I thought I put some on there, and then turns out I didn't because it won't stick, and I got to do it again. Card making's fun. So I'm going to stick that in there, and then it's not like going to be permanent forever, but it will be enough to hold it together that I can pick it up all as one solid piece and then just put glue all over the back of everything, just everything. So if you put Tombow Mono Multi-Glue down wet, it is permanent. If you let it dry in the open air, then it is tacky and it is repositionable. It's like my go-to glue. And I didn't even really know that people didn't like liquid glue until not this past Create, but the Create before that. We were working on cards at the Make and Takes, and I just went with the supplies that I use, which is Tombow Mono Multi-Glue. And so many people were like, oh, I don't like liquid glue. So my apologies. I think it's awesome. So here, everything's put together. I'm going to put some foam on the back of my sentiment and pop that up. And then I wanted to add a little something to accent the sentiment, but I didn't want it to take away from, you know, the focal point, the flowers. So I chose some clear rhinestones, and in the photos, again, here we go with the photos, you can't even really tell that they're there. Now, in real life, you can. Like, if you look at it from up top, you know, they take on that same navy color as the background. But if you look at it from the side, they clearly look like, you know, white or, they're just clear. They're clear. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can see that they're there, that they exist. So then I put some clear Wink of Stella on it, and I walked away. And I took my photos and everything else. And I hated them so much. I shouldn't say that. I disliked them so much. And so I had to change it. Because I thought, well, maybe if I make the color darker on the card, then when I go to photograph it, it won't be as, like, desaturated. Turns out, I shouldn't say it's a terrible move, okay? I liked it better in real life without the bold colors. I just liked it softer. And unfortunately, I couldn't find a good way to photograph it that way. So decisions were made, and here we are. For the greens and the blue greens and even the yellows, I didn't mind it. It wasn't bad. I think where I went wrong was I probably should have tried to find a more toned down version of the pink and the purple. I think that's where it just got a little bit too bold for me personally. Now, by no means do I think the card is hideous or anything like that. I just, knowing what it looked like before, I preferred the softer look. So I will have, I'll have the photos for both over on the blog so that you can see what I'm talking about. I don't, a lot of people when they photograph their cards, you know, you want to try to get natural light. That's ideal for capturing, you know, the most realistic colors and everything. But I have to film in the middle of the night. That's just what my situation is. So I have a light box. So a lot of times I'm not photographing in natural light, and I don't know if it would have been any better if I'd had the opportunity to. But here it was just like absolute nasty weather anyway. It was like snowing, then raining, and cold, and then I was out of town, and so I don't even know that I would have had the chance to try to photograph it outside. But then just going around, obviously I'm not taking the whole card apart, I just took the sentiment off, and I'm going to restamp that because when I pulled it off, it got all bent and bajiggity looking, and I don't want to put that back on the card. But here I'm just being very careful about that white outline, and then the white outline of the stamps and die cuts that are laying on top of it. That's pretty much, you know, just did the same thing I did before. Anything that was visible, I outlined. So yeah, I mean, I think it's really the purple. I don't even know if it's the pink. It might be the pink. But it's too much. I feel like it's too much. So here I'm just going to put that sentiment back on, and then I am going to go back over it with the clear Wink of Stella again, because I felt like maybe I covered some of it up with the, you know, additional color. I probably didn't, but I didn't want to risk it because I love all the shimmers. So, yeah, that's it. That's the whole card. So thank you guys so much for joining me, and I will catch you on the next video. Bye.